Greetings, campers. Welcome to the World According to Yoni. As ever, I am your host, Yoni Martin, and I'm here to guide you through this magical misery tour of pain, suffering, stupidity, and complete insanity we've all been going through for far too long. Before I get into the main part of the show today, there are a few things I'd like to tell you. One, we now have a Facebook page. Yes, we are official. We have the World According to Yoni on Facebook. So do me a favor, if you're on Facebook, go like the page or follow the page, even better. And then when you're done doing that, subscribe to the show. That would really be good. We also have a direct email address for those of you who would like to say something to me, complimentary, of course, because we know nobody would have anything else to say. And that address is accordingtoyoni@gmail.com. So there you go. Now, if you have been with me since the beginning of the show, I really appreciate it. And I don't mean today's show. I mean since I started broadcasting. If you haven't been with me before, welcome. Where have you been? I missed you. You should have been here. Anyway, as it usually goes, right now I would talk about the events of the week and, maybe rant a little bit and hopefully be funny, but not necessarily, because how much is there really to be funny about right now? However, I am going to be joined today by two very special women. They are smart. They are funny. They are opinionated. As a matter of fact, they may be more opinionated than me, which is a frightening thought. I first heard about them about 19, 20 years ago when I bought this book. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast, not watching on YouTube, it says Second City, Backstage at the World's Greatest Comedy Theater. So there you go. They were members of Second City. They now have their podcast, The Final Word, on the Sexy Liberal Podcast Network. They are regulars every Friday on the third hour of the Stephanie Miller Show. And they are also part of the virtual Stephanie Miller Sexy Liberal Tour. They are wonderful, funny women. I am so grateful to them for coming on today and sharing the entire show with me, because I have so much respect for these two ladies that I just want them to be with me the entire show. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Frances Callier and Angela V. Shelton, better known as the comedy duo Frangela. Hi, Frances. Hi, Angela.
Hi.
I am beyond excited. I want to tell you guys, I just told my audience, but the first time I ever heard of either of you or read of either of you was about 19, 20 years ago when I got this book, The Second City.
Yes.
You are both in this book. And that was my introduction to you.
Wow.
So my question is, since Frances was in Chicago and you were in the Detroit company, when did you meet?
I was actually in all of the companies. I'm the only person to have been in all of the main stages. So
Toronto too?
Toronto, yeah. So I did Detroit main stage, Toronto main stage, ETC, and main stage in Chicago.
Oh, that's great.
I was in all those casts. So we met in Chicago.
And of course, Frances highfalutin. I mean, you were put in charge of, what was it, the diversity program?
Diversity training center, whatever else they could, tack on to that.
Well, the company was known for its kind of lack of diversity before then. And I know that you guys helped make it.
We tried to. Here's the thing, when I got to Second City, I think that in 1985, I think there were two African Americans on stage, and that was Tim Meadows and Judith Scott. And no, they weren't even there yet. It was Aaron Freeman was the first one there. And he was more or less, there'd been a guy, a couple people before him, but he was the first like real African-American who was on main stage in that. And then it was Tim Meadows and Judith Scott. And that was it. And then two other people in touring company out of a 20-year history.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, and I called myself the traveling black person. So whenever
you were one of 8 when you started, I believe, Detroit.
Cast members.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first cast had 8. I think first cast had 8 in it. Yeah.
I read the book.
Yeah, I have not. But and then I just went to the various stages to have,
Okay, so how did Frances and Angela become Frangela? Because we all know you that way, but nobody knows how.
Well, what happened was Angela moved into my building where a bunch of Second City people kind of lived there. It was a couple blocks from the theater in Old Town. And you could walk to the theater and back and forth because you were always there. She's always, rehearsing or this or that. And you're coming home at 2:00 in the morning. We were just talking about that before we started, what it's like to be an artist. And so we met on the stairs. She asked me, do you want to go see a movie? I said, sure. And we sat down in the movie and started talking to each other the second the lights went out. And we have not stopped talking since.
Well, it certainly works. I mean, God, I look forward like every Steph head does to Friday at, the 3rd hour, because the two of you coming on, it's like explosion. And the energy level just goes, and
we're loud.
I hope so. We enjoy what we do. We love what we do.
And you're good at what you do. So that kind of helps. No, thank you. So anyway, that's why I was nervous as hell to have you guys on, but honored as hell. I know Angela's like, I don't know why, because I was telling Frances before you came on that I had done stand-up in New York City in the 70s, and I really sucked.
That's what we all say that about ourselves, dude.
I did Comedy Olympics and improv, and I was much better at that. But stand-up, being alone on that stage, was not for me. I'm a team player. I like baseball, soccer. So give me the other guys with me, and I'm fine. Alone, I'm scared. So anyway, I want to get to all the fun topics that I know you have opinions about. Let's start with the quote unquote debate of last week. Other than the fly in Mike Pence's head, which was just poetry. Did you make it through?
Yes.
That,
I mean, after the Trump's tantrum debate, I mean, it actually was like a breath of fresh air in many ways, even though it's quite clear that Pence had been coached on some level by Trump. Yeah. And it, it's infuriating, but this is the thing. And you saw it in social media the next day or that night, even woman after woman going, yep, this is what it's like. And I actually got apologies from a friend of mine, a male friend of mine, the next morning texted me. He's like, I'd like to apologize for how much I interrupt you. Oh man! I, like 2 days before the debate, I'd been like, "Would you shut up? I'm trying to talk." Like he just would never. He kept interrupting me, and I was like, "Thank you." I just took the apology rather than being like, "No," because it's true. Like my mother has this great story about how she was in a meeting. She was a lawyer. She was the only black woman lawyer at Ford Motor Company at the time, and there were very few women. Period. And she's in a meeting. And they were discussing some strategy, and she said her idea. And everybody sort of whatevered it. And then they went on for another 10, 15 minutes or whatever, kept talking. Then one of the white men in the room, which was everybody else in the room, said her exact same idea, and everybody went crazy, right? They're like, oh my God, that's a great idea.
Oh,
and
man.
They went to the big boss, and they go, what do you think of the idea? And the big boss goes, I like it a lot. I even liked it when Sharon said it.
Oh, good.
And it was such a great moment, because it's like you rarely have those in life. And watching Kamala have to do what we all have to do, which is the I'm talking. I'm talking. You know,
Yep.
it just, I felt a kinship with her, and it was a really, besides the historic nature of the whole thing, which I was overwhelmed by a lot, I thought she did great. And I thought that in this, given what we're at, that was about as good as it was going to get.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know where we are right now is I just saw a poll where Trump is down by 23%, down below with women.
Who are these women who are still for it?
Yeah, I that I don't understand.
He's
At
polling
all.
with 23. He's like Biden is ahead, but 23%. Like you can't. What they say is historically you can't win like that. But that is what those men came out and exuded. And here's the thing: what maybe I was hoping the whole enchantment is starting to break, because women having to watch another woman go through what they go through on a day-to-day basis and watch it nationally. And again, it's like, it's these galvanizing moments that we're all going through where we all go, yeah, that thing, the way he's treating her there, that's wrong. And I don't want that.
And he's the better one. Better behaved person, you know, and in terms of, I mean, he's, you know, flagrant racist, homophobic, ableist jerk.
But other than that,
but in terms of like, he's the person we expect a certain amount of adult behavior from in that branch. Yeah. And for him to be, I mean, you know, he's going to lie. That's why he's there. And I do have to give it to him. One liar to another. That man is good. Like, to sit there, I betray what I'm thinking, you know what I mean? Like, but to be able to say, you know, our response to the coronavirus has been perfect and exemplary is amazing. That he got that out without any irony, without any, like, I was like, oh, you're good.
You wonder if he actually believes that bullshit or what?
I know, right? I don't know.
You know what? I you know, at the end of the day, for me, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in there, and I'm not his moral compass or guide. But when I watch his choices and have, you know, like I'm watching the Amy Coney Barrett hearings right now, and I go, why are we being asked to deal with and accept this absolutely radical person? If, you know, as women, as people, as human beings, why are we being even asked to even, why is she even being put before us? How did she even get this far?
Especially when she herself has said that she shouldn't be in this position.
Exactly.
But she's got 3 years judgeship. I mean, what kind of...
absolutely insane.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, but I this is the thing. Roe has always been a problem. They have decimated Roe. What is it? How many states is it? It's over a dozen states where you can't even get an abortion. You know,
Yep.
So I think everybody needs to let go of Roe, because Roe has always been problematic. And the truth is, this has always needed to be legislated. So we need everybody to vote. We need Congress. We need both houses, and we need the executive branch. And then we'll pass an abortion law. That's
wow, what a concept.
Here's the thing. It's like I've been trying to talk people down. I'm like, everything that's wrong right now, and even these judge appointments and all of that, we can solve all of these problems within the confines of our current system. We really can. We just have to make sure everybody votes, and we get in the new administration, the executive branch, we get control of the Senate and the House, and then we can get rid of the Electoral College. And then we can legislate your rights. We can legislate gay marriage and legislate abortion rights and make the laws to protect people so that we're not wondering when a justice dies. The whole point of the Supreme Court, although I've always thought it was undemocratic, I have an issue with that court to begin with. But the idea that the death of one judge throws all of our civil rights into absolute chaos has never been the intention. It's never been the intention.
Gut our voting rights?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
But that's what we have a legislature for. They can pass laws.
I mean, at this point in America, the GOP is busting Black people back to 3/5 human.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too.
And they're going to take gay people.
Yeah.
And differently abled people. Anybody with a pre-existing condition.
Oh, and so they'll come after the Jews and the Muslims.
Oh, always.
You know,
That's always on the burner.
But this is why I wanted you to do the whole show with you guys, because I knew you'd have opinions and say them. Is it tacky of me as a white male? I know I don't identify as a white male, but I'm a white male. Um, is it tacky of me to think, okay, the Black women as a voting bloc have always been necessary to the Democratic Party? I mean, without Black women, the Democratic Party is down the toilet. Mm-hmm. Do you think what's been going on, especially Pence's attitude towards Senator Harris, can bring out even more? Because that's what I'm hoping.
Well, hopefully everybody watched the, here's the thing. Before we even get to Kamala, if COVID isn't driving you to the polls, if the economy isn't driving you to the polls, I don't know if Kamala Harris's performance and zingers are going to drive people. You know what I mean? There's a level of self-interest I think that people have to have. But I'll take it. Hey, if you like the way she dresses, if you like her hair, if you like the fact that she is half Indian, God bless it. Whatever it is, I want you to use that. Let it energize you and drive your ass to the poll.
I just love to watch her, because she's amazing. And I look forward to her being president someday. I mean, that's what I think we're headed for, or at least I'm praying we're headed for. Yeah. But, you guys are better than me. I couldn't make it through. I was getting so angry, I was having to medicate. I was taking pot oil. I was downing Valium because I was going to throw something through the TV screen. Yeah. And the only thing that stopped me was my wife saying, okay, dear, time to leave. Let's get at it. Away from the television now. Because I was going bananas. I really was. And for some reason, it was worse to me than Trump and Biden, because I guess I'd expected that. But it was just so patronizing.
Yes.
I wanted to punch the living shit out of him.
Yeah, the condescension, the patronizing, the lecturing. She was absolutely right. I was really glad when she said it. It's like, I'm not going to be lectured by the vice president about prosecuting, because I'm the only person up here who has prosecuted anybody. And it's like, and I found it interesting to see the moderators reduced to kind of not that great babysitters, like they in this situation. But watching it, we told people, save yourself. Now, you know what? Like, this is part of our job. If you're not in any way paid to watch this, don't watch it. We'll tell you about it. Read the transcript. Sometimes I do that. Like, I'll go, like, NPR almost always, or public, NPR, and what's the other one? PBS, they often have transcripts readily available right after these things. So it's like, if you want to, know everything that was said, not just what an article might pluck out, but there's, if you can't, because everything is triggering at this point, and the news is so hard. I mean, I think we all medicate our own ways. One of the things I do is I break things on my balcony. Like, I take old muds and just throw it down, and then I release, and I clean it up. And it's like, in that, sometimes I scream it. I literally have screamed into a pillow, just to not disturb my neighbors, because it's hard to watch. It is really hard to watch. And I was just so grateful for her face and for her facial expressions, and to know, like, to feel this kinship with her, being, especially when he said crazy shit. Like, our response has been great. She's like,
well, you know what?
Like, I'm doing it too big, but
Yeah. What I found interesting with her was in his tactic towards her, and that they on that side plan to try to drag out the trope of angry Black woman.
Right.
And and the needling, and so therefore she became a gift machine in terms of the faces. But he was really it seemed like the tactic was to upset her, and or to continue to
definitely.
and attack her record so that she does get angry and get defensive. And of course, as she said, she is a consummate attorney.
Yeah. She's been a black woman.
No, she was, I loved her. I mean, you know, the smiles and the looks she had, like, you poor pathetic asshole, which he is and was. But what really set me off was when Pence, you know, he ran over the moderator the whole time. She was pathetic. But when she asked him a question and he turns it around, asks Kamala Harris a question, and then he answers the question he asked her.
Yeah.
That was it for me. That was when I went insane.
The moderator, I mean, here's the thing. I think we have to ask ourselves, why are debates being moderated by personalities?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, because there are actually people who do this as a profession who facilitate. You know, we could hire facilitators.
It used to be the League of Women Voters, didn't it, who ran these things?
Yeah, there used to be a lot of, you know, we all watched it, and there used to be a lot. But I look at this and I'm like, we need to get away from, you know, the fairness doctrine. Losing that was a problem. And I also think that this idea that just because you've had a show on some kind of network, you can moderate a debate. Like, it does take somebody, like, I would have liked to have seen somebody like Sherlyn Eiffel, or somebody who I know would not have put up with that, who would have been like, no, you're done. Now, like,
why don't they have a kill switch?
I'll take Judge Judy. Shit.
Judge Judy would have been amazing. Judge Judy would be amazing.
She would actually kind of.
I mean,
ass.
so but it kills me is it's like Kamala, like, we've been black all day. I've been a black woman all day yesterday, pretty much all days before that. He's not going to be the first white man to step to me or to step to you know, Kamala and try to, like, when we did this reality show in the jungle, we knew this before we went there. We had a whole conversation about it, Francis and I, about, look, one of the things that the media and that shows try to do is make black women the angry black woman. And they're going to so what we are not going to do is give them that ever, you know? And so we, you know, I know her, we all know to be prepped for that. If you're going to get anywhere in this white male, you know, ableist culture, what you learn very quickly is that how you have to behave, the standard of your behavior is far different than it is everybody else's.
Oh no, the standard of white male behavior, white male supremacy, is that you can take a AR-15 into a government building.
Yes.
And you can threaten the governor. You can threaten the governor. Threaten to kidnap her, blow up her home, blow up the bridge by her home. Be working with 12 other men in a cell, and be terrorists.
Yeah, we can't sleep on our own beds at home.
They're a militia.
I'm so mad about that. I cannot with the militia.
Yeah,
I cannot.
White men can terrorize the rest of America. That is what it means to be a white man in America.
And all these years I've done nothing about that.
Well, we don't call you white.
Thank you.
You're
I appreciate that.
You know, I mean, now, do you benefit from the white power structure? Absolutely. But the point is that, like, you actively fight against it, and you actively, you know, you're out here doing the work, and that's the thing. Like, we all got born. We didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
We didn't choose this period of time, you know. And so, but it's about doing what you can to subvert their agenda, and doing what you can to be aware of it even.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it was so interesting. I had a friend who texted me the other night, because I love to watch the videos of Kamala getting on and off planes in her chucks, you know, whatever. She's really running up. And he was like, look at this, you know, white man, you know, is wearing a 3-piece suit on a plane, or I forget what he was trying to make some joke about how she is a woman, she gets to wear tennis shoes, you know, gym shoes or whatever. And I was like, can I stop you for a minute? There's never been a woman vice president or president ever.
Well, there should be a woman president. Yeah, that's another argument.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is the first time a woman's been a VP candidate and made it to this place, you know, and this is the first, you know, like and we're seriously has a shot at getting into the executive branch. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so don't talk to me about standards of behavior. Yeah, we just elected a barely literate moron asshole.
We elected the pussy grabber.
His last job he got fired from
Rapist.
being himself. His last job was being himself, and he was fired.
Well,
So-
I mean, come on. It's the appropriate thing to have happened to him on that. But yeah, okay, since we've gone there, here's something. You mentioned NPR earlier, Angela. Did you guys see yesterday the Washington Post and NPR were editorializing and going, Joe Biden, are you going to pack the Senate if you're elected? And I'm sitting there thinking, is this the 2020 version of her emails?
Yes.
You mean pack the Supreme Court?
Pack the Supreme Court. They're,
Right.
they're demanding the answer to that. We've got a rapist. We've got 215,000 people dead. We've got an economy in shambles, and they're worried that Joe might pack the Supreme Court.
Like they are right now?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, what's been going on? They've been packing the court. You didn't care when Mitch McConnell wouldn't let through a single judge nomination from the Obama administration. I didn't hear any of these people editorializing about how that was unfair or that was wrong or why is this being happening at all. But now they got a problem with somebody who isn't in office yet and it hasn't happened. It's like their idea of objectivity is find something negative to say about the other person. That's not objectivity. Like objectivity isn't, if I write something that's negative and true, but it's a negative sounding thing, then I need to do that on the other person. That's not being objective, because it's objectively wrong to be racist. It's objectively wrong to be sexist. It's objectively wrong to lie about a virus that is killing millions of people around this planet probably at the end of the day. Right. And right now, over 200,000 people here and millions are infected. Those things are, you don't then have to go, okay, what can we say about Biden? Well, he might do something that we might not like in the might future.
It's the false equivalency that
it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I've had it with it. It's like, that is not journalism, and that is not fairness, and that's not objectivity.
I agree.
That's why I stopped watching Samantha Bee. I can't take it, because she was doing so much of it during the 2016 that it was ridiculous. Like, they do it on the news all the time. You'll be watching a march, right? People protesting another Black person being killed by the police for existing, and you'll hear the news moderators go, well, there's some people, literally, they'll be like, there are these armed militia, which are just a white terrorist mob, exactly, walking down the street, and people are wearing all black. Okay, one group is carrying long guns. The other group is just wearing all black. Maybe they just like black. Like, it's just, like, maybe they're from New York. I don't know. Maybe they just like.
I'm a New Yorker. We do like black.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they make it sound like those are equal things. Like, somebody wearing all black in a march with a sign that says Black Lives Matter is the same thing as a group of white guys driving in from God knows where who refuse to identify themselves with long guns. Those aren't the same things. And I can't with that anymore.
Well, and here's the thing: it takes so much in this society to get from these some of these white males who are armed in quote unquote militias and saying us turning going, that is not okay. But it's very quick to see a group of young people protesting and going, that is dangerous. What is wrong with our eyes? What is wrong with our minds?
Last night, you probably even heard about it. Last night, because the Lakers won, there was a riot, basically, in downtown LA. They arrested over 70 people. Several people were hurt. Buildings were damaged and burned. Have you heard anything about it? Is Trump talking about bringing the National Guard out? No, and that was for a team that won. So when people, it's like this, the way that we view things is entirely through this racist, sexist, garbage
prism.
Like, anything in my hand is a weapon. Me being asleep, somehow Breonna Taylor managed to die from gunshot wounds that nobody inflicted.
Yeah, the magic. Talk about a magic
was a perfectly
bullet.
executed warrant. According to what just went down, what they've said is that warrant was executed perfectly. Like, that's essentially what just happened, and it's absolutely inexcusable. And I can't with that anymore. And the minute people start that garbage, I'm out. I'm done. I am done with that false equivalency crap.
Yeah, I can't argue with anything you say. I agree with every word of it. I mean,
you're brilliant.
I know, it's true. Francis, you have anything you want to add to what Angela just said?
Oh, no, that was perfect.
Okay, let's then talk about, I call her Amy COVID over a barrel, because they kind of have us over a barrel. What with the two faces of Susan Collins, we know where she's going to go.
Yeah.
I just have no words for the level of outrage I have. It was okay for McConnell to hold off on Barack Obama's nominee 10 months before an election, but we are in the middle of one right now.
And here's the deal. The reality is that unless we walk out our doors right now and stream into the streets and protest physically, the next best option we have is this vote. And I think that that's the problem. They're taking advantage of the fact that people are scared to come out their homes because of COVID, and rightfully so, and they are taking advantage of the fact that there's an election that is soon, and that's how people psychologically, people are thinking, oh, I will let them know by not voting for them. But meanwhile, they're going to get done what they're going to accomplish, what they want to have happen. The action's going to happen.
Well, and here's the thing: I would like to see the people we've elected work harder.
That would be nice.
Use more of their ability to stop this from happening. I'd like to see the other members of the Supreme Court maybe say what they think is right and wrong about it. Because this idea that they're mute until, come on, man, this shouldn't be happening. You say it, all of that. But here's the deal: I think we get really caught up in this, and we can get over. Supreme Court justices can be removed. Yes. I'm not saying it's easy, but they can be removed.
Well,
so let's do what we can and keep calling your people, keep calling your representatives and telling them, I expect you to be doing everything you can to stop this from going through. But understand, her getting on that seat doesn't mean she gets to stay there necessarily. And it doesn't mean that we don't get abortion, because we have a whole other branch of government that's supposed to be the one that makes the laws. Yeah. So that is where we need to, I think we've gotten very caught up in defending Roe, and not that we shouldn't be defending Roe, but Roe has always had problems and it has been gutted. And there are states where you literally can't get in, many states where you can't get an abortion. Right. So clearly the right to an abortion doesn't guarantee you get it. We still have people thinking that the government pays for abortions, and they never have. Right. So it's like,
the GOP has told people that continuously, and they have fixed that information.
And it's not true.
And it's not true. And the reality is that here we are. We do have to legislate absolutely everything we need. And theoretically, we should have 12 years to do it. And in this 12 years that theoretically a breath that we should be able to have, we have got to address education. Because to Angela's point, talking about Roe v. Wade, the reason when we don't educate women and people about bodies and health systems and what happens, it goes all the way back. We've got so many ignorant people walking around that Trump and Fox could get in. And it all goes back to education. Every last issue that we're having, we're not educated about civics. We're not educated about women's bodies. We have no education about so many things, So that's the thing we have to do.
Well, look, there was a poll taken, 2-3 weeks ago, where it turned out that they called them kids, but they were people between the ages of 18 and 30 didn't know about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I knew about World War I when I was in school because I was taught history. What the hell? It's scary what's happening out there, and that people are as ignorant as they are. And it seems a lot of them are choosing to be ignorant.
Willful ignorance. Yeah, because let me show you something that can help you. This thing in my hand, this phone that a lot of people have, you don't have to go to the library anymore and deal with the microfiche. You know what I'm saying? What we had to do to write a report, you don't have to do. you know, and you don't have to just, you can go all over the world. You can do all sorts. So there's a, and that's not for everybody, but I lose my patience when I see, you know, middle-class people who have access, people who have access to education and to the digital world, and they don't make use of it. Like it's, you know, we have to begin also, I think Francis is absolutely right about education, but also teaching curiosity and teaching that you have a responsibility for a certain piece of information. Like, it's amazing to me. Like, I remember we did this little live game show thing, and I don't know why it came up for me this morning, but one of the questions was, we were a team, Francis and I, and they were like, what does DACA stand for? And I knew it's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. But I looked around and the other team, they didn't know at all. And I was like, you only say this word and it only happens. And it was in the middle, it was like at a very DACA moment. And I was like, here's the deal. We have to stop just reading things and being okay with not knowing what they mean. You know, like when somebody says something to you about, let's say, the Hyde Amendment, what, and if they don't explain it, look it up.
Yeah.
Find out what it is.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No.
But to Angela's point, the Obamacare versus the Affordable Care Act routine, where people, I hate Obamacare, but I love the Affordable Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with that?
Trump, no, it's absolutely, or things like Trump signing that letter. I'm like, Trump doesn't appropriate money. Congress does. He can sign whatever letter he wants, what he sends out with a check. That isn't him.
I like it when he signs letters that have nothing on them. That's
dude. It's like it's trying to say to people, I'm like, look, Roe v. Wade, that should be law. You know, like, we shouldn't be relying on a court that is, while it has always been problematic, this is a court that saw Black people as 3/5 of the human being. Not these judges, but the Supreme Court has always been a tool of white power. Okay, don't get it like twisted.
As has the Electoral College.
Thank you.
Exactly. It is slave math all day long. And the fact that we have 40 million people in California and the rest of the country, the middle of the country, is 40 million people. Are you kidding me? We don't have enough representation. And this state is on fucking fire.
Yeah. DC and Puerto Rico, I wonder what they have in common. It keeps them from getting accurate representation.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's think about that one.
Like, it's absolutely, we're totally okay with complete disenfranchisement of huge numbers of people. And with the idea that 7 people in Montana hold just as much sway as all of California is ridiculous.
You know, and also, Angela, let me go back to the 7 people in fucking Montana, because they can hole up on a fucking ranch and we treat them like they are, you know, fucking cut glass.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
Look, like they're all out there farming the land for all of America, and you're like,
exactly.
They're making them.
We treat those people, but Breonna Taylor, no, we can no-knock her ass in the fucking middle of the fucking night and shoot her up and shoot her fam, shoot everything in her home. But those men, they deserve our respect in America.
Mm-hmm.
Remember,
they let the Bundy family go in to and from that ranch and that occupation for months.
Bring in food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Occupying federal buildings. You're telling me you care about federal buildings now, this week? Like,
it's insane.
I see you.
It is. It's insane. And we are living in cuckoo land. I'm so happy you guys are saying all this, because you're saving me having to say it, and also you have a little more credibility with some of it than I do.
Oh, I don't know.
You're women of color. I can you know, scream about Breonna Taylor, but when you guys do, you're living it. You know.
Well, you know, somebody asked me
cares
as an aside if I was watching Lovecraft Country, and I was like, no, I can't. I can't watch a show. When I try to sit down and watch it, and I really want to watch it, but I can't sit there in my private time and worry about the safety of Black people, the safety of fictional Black people.
That's what drove me out of Fargo.
I'm crying about people who can't sleep in their own beds, can't jog down the street, can't walk, can't go into the store, can't live. I can't watch it in
safe anywhere. And I just, I had the same. I was trying to watch Fargo. I was like, I can't. I was trying to watch, like, I'm just not in a place where I can be relaxed to to stories about, whether true, fictional or not, about racism at the moment. It's just a little too in my face.
I can't do it. I can only imagine how it makes you guys feel.
It's not
for me, what it is okay, I'm Jewish, so I can think to the Holocaust and understand that what's happening in this country now is reminiscent to a frightening degree of what happened in Germany in 1933 and 34.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why they don't want people to know about it in the first fucker. That's why people, so you can't draw any parallels because you don't have it in your mind to do it.
Yeah, well,
and people like to think,
I have it in my mind.
Oh, I do. This is my thing. What's some asshole I know said we were watching Oscars and there was a short, one of the shorts won, and it was a movie about the Holocaust and a short film, and he was like, "Oh, another film about the Holocaust. I mean, when will there be enough?" And I was like, "When there've been 6 million and one."
Wow.
How about that? It's like, what do you mean enough? It's like the worst thing. Like, I'm just like, it's just what really is upsetting to me is those same people who can't tell you about one of the most important and horrible, obviously, but one of the most fundamental things that ever happened in our history on this planet, right? They can't tell you that, but I bet you they know that George Washington's teeth were allegedly wood, which that's not even true. They were slaves' teeth. That was a lie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a lie they told us as kids, but he used slaves' teeth. He removes teeth from his slaves so he could make himself a set of teeth. That's what they did. But they said they were made of wood because that was, that's easier to hear. So, but that's, everybody knows that, right? Like, it's like we're okay with a fallacy. It's why I call them the founding owners, because I'm with the fallacy of these great men who did this great thing, and these were revolutionaries by every means, by any definition. But to try to paint people in our history with this brush. So the Holocaust, it is shocking to hear that. It was shocking to me to read that too. But I'm like, well, here it is. We don't know in our little worlds what happens in other worlds. But I've seen, for instance, we both have a fondness for textbooks. And they're really educational. Like and I don't mean that like the way they're meant to be educational. Like if you look at textbooks that are in use around this country, they're frightening.
Yeah.
There's nothing in them.
Absolutely frightening.
They're bare.
Especially when you go to states like Texas where they really start, take that out. It
is amazing. Like having to explain to people, we were on a podcast earlier this week and I was like, do you know you used to have to pay for water? And they're younger or whatever, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, they didn't charge for water. You know why? Because you have to have water. It's like, I'm like, there are things that we've just come to expect that haven't always been true, or these lies about, how things work. And I have been amazed, even as educated as I think we all are and try to be, at how much I thought was actual law or rules and was apparently just what they call gentlemen's agreements. That's been shocking to me, because that there's just no way in the world that one person, male or whatever, should be able to decide what gets voted on in the Senate. Yeah. That's insane. That's not a democracy.
Yeah, how did Mitch McConnell get into this position?
That's insane.
Because people gave him the power and he took it and he didn't care. And people said, okay, that's what happened. And what we have got to do is make sure that here's the problem too. I am so proud of the fact of how everybody, all of us, have resisted this administration from day fucking one. Yet, what I'm afraid of, what I'm concerned about, is that we are so, all of us, limping to this finish line that won't be finished on November 3rd.
No.
No.
It won't be finished January 20th or 21st. I can't remember what day it is. But the reality is that I'm afraid that when that happens, people will go, oh.
No, I think we all know that this thing. I think that we need to get through, this is what I'm a big believer in: deal with the problem in front of you.
Yes.
The problem in front of us is the election.
Right.
You've got to get people are showing up. When we're over 6 million people have already voted. That's
right.
never happened
I'm
before.
one of them.
Thank you. Never happened before, right? So I'm like, so we just got to make sure, and we have to make sure that we are there and we are making sure our votes count and that everybody's votes count and that we are helping each other and make that happen. That is the thing that we have to have happen. Then if that is what it needs, that needs to be overwhelming. It needs to be so overwhelming that they are afraid to do anything other than accept it. Trump's going to Trump, right? And the thing is, if he was just running around Trump and nobody, there'd only be a little thing he could do. But the thing is, it's Mitch McConnell, it's the Senate, it's
Bill Barr.
It's Bill Barr. So the thing is, we have to negate their willingness to go further with this, because if the whole nation, but this is the thing that's been really shocking, I think, to have to come to grips with, is that to come to grips with the fact that maybe at the end of the day, you know, I've always thought, and I think we've all kind of thought, well, at the end of the day, they all want to get reelected, right? But what if they all just really do want us to subjugate people? Like at the end of the day, if they're willing to not get elected just to make sure that women don't have control over their bodies and gay people can't get married and we don't ever have to talk about ableism and we don't ever have to raise the minimum wage and there are no unions and you don't have any health care, like maybe they really do believe in their platform and they are willing to lose their own personal job to achieve it. And I think that is something that we have to get into our heads.
That's a terrifying thought, you know.
But that's why
it's a possibility.
But that's the thing we got to look at, like, because it doesn't make sense, right? Abortion rights are overwhelmingly, this country wants women to have the right to choose.
What is it, 75%?
Yes. So what else can I draw from that? Overwhelmingly, people want health care. Overwhelmingly, people want to raise the minimum wage. And yet they are fighting. They're stopping a stimulus at a time when it could only help them in an election. You know, like, so I go, well, maybe that isn't their number one point. I'm sitting here thinking they want to get reelected. I'm like, sure they do, but maybe what they really do want is that power. And in that case, we have to treat it as what it is, which is an incursion and a war.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's why I think you're absolutely right that it's not over with the election. It's not over if we inaugurate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in January. The resistance has to keep going and has to fight, because there is so much that has to be done to rectify the crap that this country has allowed to happen. And
I'm worried about the months between the election. I mean, obviously I'm worried about the election, but you know, give all knocking on anything, whatever, Biden and Kamala win overwhelmingly, right? Yeah. It's crazy big. I'm worried about that period of time. And I think that's another thing we have to put on our to-do list, which is, why do we need 2 months between the election and the next administration? We don't. Because let me tell you, that doesn't work in jobs and doesn't work in relationships.
Yeah, I've never understood that.
Well, it made sense back in the day, right?
Well,
like that's the whole voting on Tuesday thing.
Back in the day, like lifetime appointments to the Supreme Court. Well, the average lifespan was 45 or 50.
Exactly.
So lifetime appointment was maybe 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm. And you would never, and this is the thing, you know, at the beginning when the Supreme Court was made, you didn't have to even be a lawyer to get on the Supreme Court, you know. But maybe it is time that we have qualification guidelines. Like, you can't even be considered if you haven't been a judge for this long at this level. You can't even be considered if you haven't done this or that, you know. Should president be the first office you get to run for? No.
Yeah,
like, it's like, these are things that we need to start asking, because we really haven't asked ourselves. This is a very young nation compared to many nations around the world. And I go, we have not as a nation asked ourselves some fairly fundamental questions about how we want our representational democracy to run. And it's time that we did, because we've seen all the holes and all the cracks, you know, and we need to fill them. What'd you say?
I missed that last one, Francis.
I'm just saying, our system is just a sieve.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we can fix it, you know, and this
we
is why
can if we're willing.
Yes. And I think we are, and we can keep that pressure up, and we can do those things. But the first thing in front of us is we have to get them out of the executive branch, and we have to get those out of the cabinet. We have to get
and the Senate. We have to take back the Senate. We need to take both chambers, right? The House of Representatives and the Senate, and we need the presidency. And then we need to really, and then I want a whole team that's only job is to look at all these unqualified people that got made judges and start knocking them off.
get rid
Well,
of them.
you talked about scaring these people if we're so overwhelming in the win. Here's my thing. I want, in my ideal world, I want prosecution after the win, because I think it's the one mistake President Obama made when he came in his first year and had the Senate. He did not go after the neocons who got us into a bullshit war, and this time that cannot happen.
That's right.
We have to go after Barr. We have to go
Oh
after
yeah, they're
all their crimes.
egregious crimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I appreciate that Biden said. There will be no pardons.
Yep. So
no, there will be no. That's over. And I think that this is why people obviously keep saying it. But this is why you see them willing to literally do anything to win. They're not trying to change their campaign. They're not even, they could buy people off. They could literally pass a crazy stimulus, but instead, which I find, it blows your mind, right? You're like, they have the ability right now, and the Democrats wouldn't stop them, to put out the hugest stimulus to literally try to just buy votes, and they won't do it.
I know, it's weird.
But that's because at the end of the day, what they really want is white power. What they really are is a bunch of racists who want to subjugate women and anybody who isn't rich and like them. And that is more important to them than anything else. And as upsetting as it is, I'm glad we finally have clarity on it. Like, I don't have to sit here and wonder, what's Mitch McConnell's motivation? You can call his office all you want. He clearly doesn't care.
I like countries like New Zealand and Germany, where there just happen to be women in charge, and they believe in science, and they're trying to do things for their people as opposed to...
Oh, and they're so full of the hypocrisy. Like, because correct me if I'm wrong, but did Trump go to a church when he got COVID? I believe it was a hospital. Yeah. And I believe he got medications. And some of them, as we know, were made by being tested on fetal tissue. So clearly we don't believe in science when they're sick. When they're sick, they're going to, you know what, we're going to put aside the religion and go straight for the science. You know,
we are caught up, our society is caught up in toxic masculinity. That's why we can't get below a certain infection rate. It's going to take Biden literally being in office, I believe, before we get anywhere on these issues, because there's so much toxicity in the men that are running the administration now that we can't even begin to address getting healthy in this country.
There is for me, the Amy COVID over the barrel situation. This is a woman who wants to take advantage of all the things that Ruth Bader Ginsburg spent her life fighting for, so she can remove them from other women. I do not comprehend this. It is beyond
my least favorite people are people who walk through a door and want to close it behind them.
It's a secular nation. This is a secular nation, not a theocracy. And she wants it to be a theocracy. And so do a lot of these other people. And that scares them to
someone else. Like the whole point of it, I mean, they were really clear about this, the formation of this country, that it would not be that. And I just, whatever, this idea that they care about anything other than the maintenance of their own power, that's what they care about.
And to your
that's
point,
it.
You know, as a woman, I'm looking as a person, not even just a woman, as a person. When you give your mind over, when I turn to somebody and I say, I don't have enough thought process. I'm a judge. I judge character. I judge the law. I interpret, right? And I then dole out the effects of what I think that you should have due to your behavior. But yet, you tell me you are not the arbiter of your mind. Your husband is. What the fuck? Mind you, you're making decisions about me, my family, the well-being of the world in this country. But you got to go home and see what Papa thinks?
Yeah. You know, as the father of a 30-year-old daughter, I don't want her living in that world. You know, I want her having her power. I want her having her control over what happens to her body and what she does with it. It boggles my imagination. I do not get it. I will never get it, and I will fight it until the day I die.
And here, I don't care if you want to be a sister wife. I don't care if you go home and your husband is the king and you live a biblical life that you are.
Your house.
It's your house. You run shit like you want. You can go home, be kosher. You go home, you can be Muslim. I don't care what you do, but I do care how you legislate.
You know what? I know you guys are limited on time, and I don't think we can get any better place to let it go than that. That statement, I salute you, Francis. Let's see. Okay. I want to, before we go, I want to get in all the wonderful things coming up. First of all, your podcast, The Final Word, which is on the Sexy Liberal Network, along with a bunch of other wonderful people like my friend Jody and Steph and John and all these great, smart, talented people. The next Sexy Liberal show coming up on Saturday, the 24th. If you have not seen a Sexy Liberal virtual tour, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, right? Why are you hurting yourself?
Please. I have to say this before I let you go, because I thought The Secret Life of Black People in the last tour was one of the funniest things I have ever seen.
Oh, thank you.
It was wonderful. And I don't want to give it away because people can still buy a ticket and see it, on video. It was sheer beauty. So
thank you.
I love that. And also, of course, people can see you on the third hour of the Stephanie Miller Show on Friday, which you can watch on Free Speech TV or listen to on Sirius, or if you're lucky enough to live somewhere where there is a terrestrial radio station that still plays Steph's show. Did I miss anything?
We have another podcast called The Idiot of the Week. Did we talk about that? No, it's also Sexy Liberal.
That's Stories of the Stupid.
I've always had an asshole of the week that I do a segment on my show. But this week, how do you choose?
I know, it's really hard. There's a tough competition. It is a serious competition.
And there's your Patreon. People can donate to you guys on Patreon.
And you can get a video on Cameo.
And there's swag you can get at Zazzle.com/Frangela. Hey, listen, you guys, if there's something out there that can help,
thank you.
You should be helped.
My puppy is biting my feet. That's why I can't.
Oh, I heard about the new puppy. Congratulations. My puppies have been locked upstairs so that they don't come and play. I have big dogs. So like Steph's, they would come and be part of the show. But not today. I want to thank you guys.
Thank you.
This has been, this is a dream, and you were everything I hoped and expected you'd be. And I love you more than I can say.
We love you too. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming, and I will watch and listen to you guys soon.
Yay!
Thank you.
Resist.
Yes. Bye-bye, everybody.